Day on Capitol Hill as the latest January 6th hearing pointed the finger directly at former President Trump and his attempt to overturn the 2020 presidential election.
Officials from Georgia and Arizona testified Trump directly applied the pressure.
And let's bring political science professor Stephen Caliendo from North Central College. Good morning. Thanks for joining us again. We always appreciate you.
Good morning.
Okay, let's start with that testimony that President Trump was pressuring officials to overturn the election. Was there anything new that we haven't heard before or more damaging?
The revelations weren't completely new, although there's more and more evidence and more specifics that we can learn about the larger narrative. And you're exactly right the way you led in. It was about the president directly applying pressure. You'll remember during Watergate, the famous question was, what did the president know and when did he know it? Certainly in this case, we understand now the president was involved from the very beginning, not just puppeteering from the background, but getting on the telephone and directly applying pressure and implicit threats to elected officials to go along with the plan.
And also yesterday, the committee demonstrated President Trump's influence over others in the public who in turn harassed officials who refused to go along, mainly in Georgia. How surprising was that?
Well, it was very disturbing to watch the testimony, very emotional testimony of so many people whose lives have been affected by harassment. By the folks who followed President Trump, believed that President Trump was was elected legitimately in 2020. And this is a direct tie to what happened on January 6th, because the committee's trying to establish the fact that the folks who broke into the Capitol, tried to disrupt the democratic process, were doing so because President Trump urged them to do so. And so what we heard yesterday was increasing more evidence that people were listening to President Trump and acting on the things that he was telling them.
We also heard about members of Congress allegedly applying pressure to overturn the results. How deep was this alleged conspiracy?
Well, we don't know so much about that yet. We got a little bit of a taste of it in that very first primetime hearing when Congresswoman Cheney mentioned that members of Congress asked for presidential pardons as a result of their involvement in the January 6th insurrection. And then yesterday we heard more about specific members of Congress and the ways that they either applied pressure or were involved in trying to change the ballots and send an alternate slate of electoral ballots to Mike Pence on January 6th. My expectation is we're going to hear more about those in the coming days, and it'll be interesting to see when members of Congress step forward to either admit what they did or turn around and say to others, this is inappropriate. I mean, that's what happened in Watergate, right? The Republicans turned on the Republican president. We haven't seen that en masse yet. Most Republicans are either being quiet or standing by President Trump.
Professor Caliendo, I just one final question for you, and that is, you know, the first hearings were prime time. These last few have not, and the future ones won't be. What difference is this going to make as far as how the American public feels about what went down, and what kind of impact could this have in the future?
I don't think the hearings themselves directly are going to affect public opinion. There is such a division here, a partisan division about who believes what President Trump did was wrong versus who believed that what he did was understandable or even required in some ways. But I think if Republican officials start to change their mind and start to say, we can be Republican. I mean, it's been a cavalcade of deeply conservative people. Their bona fides can't be questioned, coming to Capitol Hill saying, I've been a Republican all my life. I'm still a Republican. I'm a conservative, but I was not going to go along with this plan. It was against democracy. More and more officials like that might sway public opinion, but I don't think the hearings alone will do that.
All right. Thank you so much, Professor Caliendo. We always appreciate you being here to kind of break things down for us as we go through these hearings.
Good to see you.